Beyond the headlines. This is World Insight.
Hello, I'm Tian Wei, and welcome to the daily show World Insight with me. This summer, let's celebrate together the season of basic science and artificial intelligence. I'm going to bring to you a series of interviews, discussions, and debates I did with the hope to bring more public literacy of the latest scientific development and better understanding of AI and its impact. Today, let's meet three Turing Award winners I have talked to over the years. The Turing Award is the highest distinction in computer science, often called the Nobel Prize of Computing. Professor Andrew Chi Yao, now working in Tsinghua University, has been instrumental in nurturing Chinese AI scientists over the past 2 decades. He shared his views on artificial intelligence humanity is creating with technologies that may one day surpass human intelligence, some say, making safety, governance, and responsible development more important than ever. Dr. Whitfield Diffie, a member of the U.S. National Academy of Engineering, is widely regarded as one of the founding fathers of modern cryptography. In our conversation, he reflected on the evolving relationship between AI and humanity and whether governance can keep pace with rapid technological changes. Professor John Hopcroft of Cornell University is one of the world's most influential computer scientists and educators. His textbooks have shaped generations of researchers in computer science. He shared his thoughts on how individuals and societies can navigate an era of profound technological transformation. I know you have been researching about physics, then switched to computer science, and later you also work in the mathematics department of renowned universities. How did you manage to get the real essence of these very different fields? What are the commonalities of these basic sciences?
Actually, it's not too difficult.
Really?
To jump around these basic sciences. Mainly because these three sciences, physics, mathematics, and computer science, they share the same common scientific language, namely that we can really communicate with each other perfectly with the standard mathematical jargons. And however, there are, of course, differences between the styles on how research is conducted. For example, in physics, the perfect rigor of the mathematics involved is not that important. As long as you can find the truth, you can assert how the reality actually turns out to be. Even if you just find it for the wrong reason, that'd be okay. And computer science is sort of between these two subjects. So on the one hand, you would like what you find to be mathematical rigorous, but on the other hand, you have to sometimes do research like a physicist, namely that you should be willing to go outside the standard boundary. If you see a new phenomena, you should be brave enough in order to embrace it.
Computer science, which is a subject you have been devoting decades on and certainly greatly achieved. What do you think are some of the biggest questions that you are still thinking today, and why do they matter?
Just to understand the nature of intelligence and the wonderful ChatGPT and the big language models, and they have it's just unexpectedly they have opened up a window to us, namely that actually it is a real life model that you can experiment and observe. So that's a wonderful thing, and I think that it gives us an opportunity to push forward so that we'll be able to figure out exactly with computers what kind of intelligence can we achieve. It's a very exciting thought, but it also really tells us that we have to really take AI safety as a serious subject.
I heard you, Professor Yao, making this point at various international occasions, whether it's closed-door discussion with your counterparts or open-door dialogues and forums. Have you seen from when you become vocal about this until now, any real progress being made about setting the boundaries or better understanding of the nature of intelligence?
Yes, I think that actually what has surprised me is that the speed with which the world has accepted this safety issue as a very important and serious issue by nearly all the communities, from the government, from the industries, and from the academics, even the common people. So I think that people are ready to try to reach some consensus on exactly what needs to be done. And actually, we do have some time, because the intelligence that has been achieved so far has not reached to an alarming level. And so right now, what we need to do is to figure out how to put the red lines on some of the very largest model, and also we can figure out how to deal with some of the standard issues.
From the scientist's perspective, where do you think, or how to achieve that kind of standards you just mentioned, and how to scientifically approach the question of the so-called red line that you just mentioned?
I think that actually we do have quite a bit of experience previously in dealing with similar issues like nuclear proliferation, and also some of the biotechnology hazards that it can create. So we do have some experience on how to figure out the regulations and how to legislate. And I think right now there are many. Certainly, there's a community of conscientious scientists who are onto this issue. And the great thing is that that scientists in general are pretty open-minded, and also can have rational discussions. And also many of us know each other, and so it's not too difficult to get respected scientists together and try to discuss what needs to be done. And so on this, the scientific community, this is not too difficult to do. And the good thing is that it seems that most of the governments over the world, they also are listening to the scientists. So I am pretty sure that at the end of the day, we are going to come out as human beings, safe and sound.
Professor Diffie, what a pleasure to see you.
Well, thank you.
You talk about a number of crucial issues related to AI. For example, what is exactly the definition of so-called artificial intelligence?
I prefer the term machine intelligence because I don't see anything. Artificial makes something sound phony, something. Now, I understand it just means an artifice is something people made, but that word is used so often. An artifice in experimentation is an error that's due to the structure of the experiment, for example.
Especially when we are facing what some call AGI, meaning that there might be recursive self-improvement, so to speak.
Human beings as we know them today, I think, are not long for the world. And that the two successors will be things that we call machines, things that are built out of transistors, basically, and things that we call bioengineered. You know, we'll start out by producing, I believe, what's called in motor racing, you have a notion of a blueprinted car. This is a standard car, except all the parts are exactly right. They're not accurate to a hundredth of a meter, they're accurate to a thousandth of a meter, right? Or 10,000ths of a meter. And so I think we're going to get blueprinted human beings that by whatever genetic manipulation mechanisms, and the one that's well known as CRISPR, but much better ones are being developed. And so there's no reason that the same human being shouldn't have a fine heart, good lungs, very sensitive taste and smell, a good sense of touch, strength to run a long way, very smart, etc., and just put this all together in one person. So now you have a population of people, each one of whom is better than we are today in essentially every direction.
June the 12th, SpaceX, for example.
SpaceX isn't AI. SpaceX, I think that's just an example of Elon Musk's financial genius at these things. And so I do not know. SpaceX is a very important phenomenon. We shall see if it continues to transform the way in which space figures in human affairs. But the fact that it's the largest IPO in the world, I think is his genius at engineering that very fact as a fundamental objective, where many people probably the IPO is just one step along the way. They were really trying to make a spaceship and they IPO'd at some point. No. He's really trying to IPO. The spaceships are one mechanism for that.
So too much hyping in the commercial world
well,
in terms of AI, artificial intelligence.
Judge how much is too much?
Well, you have a personal judgment. You've been seeing different generations of technologies, how they are commercialized. For example, with the internet age.
The internet produces another interesting example because lots of money was lost investing in internet possibilities, and only a small number of people sort of did the right thing. And Google became hugely successful, and Amazon became hugely successful. Wise colleagues I have didn't think that Amazon Web Services was going to work, but I think the fact that they had other ways of paying the costs of their computers allowed them to get into that, and then once they got into it a certain way, it became a success.
So from technology to real productive force, there's a long way to go, and there seem to be a lot of different elements, having an impact on it, whether it was successful or not.
What we have in the world is the products that are business successes, not the best products. And so, the example that is at the heart of my life was that Intel chips were far from the best technical. The Motorola chips were better, the Sun chips were better, the digital equipment chips were better. But for business reasons, all of the better chips went away. Now, the technology changed in another way that made it less important exactly what the chip did. But then, in another sense, the British company ARM managed to make some quite good chips and use that fact, I think, to capture a lot of the market.
Are you worried about the bubbles might burst soon?
I don't know what will be the effect of the bubble bursting. A lot of people will complain about the money they lost. Now, will there be a waste? Huge computer centers have been built. Will they be torn down, go unused? I don't know the answer. Maybe somebody will find something else to do with them. Or maybe enough of these businesses will be successful that the data centers, will be seen to be worthwhile. We could ask similar things. There's a similar phenomenon of railways in the 19th century, particularly in Britain, and of roads, various places in the 20th century. You put a lot of money into developing roads. After a while, they produce an economy that wouldn't have been there without the roads, but you don't know exactly how to credit. You weren't able to draw up a plan and say, we're going to spend, $1 billion something on roads because we know they'll produce $100 billion in revenue, and we're going to get it back by taxing, by buying, I don't know. So the point is that I guess my acute awareness is that lots of things happen, and for some of them I foresee and some of them I don't.
Because there's a lot of debate about exactly the huge amount of capital would mean for the future direction of artificial intelligence and its applications.
This is another artifact of capitalism. You have the major companies are all, I think, doing basically the same thing. They're building larger and larger language models. If the world built only one of them, there'd be a tenth the investment and the same return to the world, but not to the individual investors.
But there are arguments like that saying we should have a world so-called a larger language model that would incorporate everything. And what do you think about that? Is it possible?
Is it politically possible? I don't know the answer to that.
Technologically possible, definitely.
I don't know the answer to that either. That would require more than I know about how you integrate these things. I mean, could you build something that has 10 centers 1,000 kilometers apart, or do they need to be real close together? I don't know the answer.
AI governance or safety security, you witness the establishment of standards incorporating cryptography into the internet age. Do you think those standards have been successful? What do you think can be some of the lessons and inspirations that the current so-called AI age could learn from the earlier time?
So there seems to me they're somewhat different issues. And the standard, we needed the standards in cryptography and other internet standards just in order to be able to communicate and to get the internet to work. And those are not standards for what the internet ought to do for people, right? So the standards don't somehow directly address, the internet turned out to be a huge business success. But the standards are not aimed at guaranteeing that, at preventing bad effects, etc. Now, the thing people are talking about standards and regulation is in AIs is something I worry a lot about, which is giving the AIs power to tell people where to go.
Yes.
Right? And so I'm not, whenever I hear about guardrails, I worry that you're simply going to have, now you've told the computers that can tell people, no, we won't tell you this. We know it. We can figure it out for you. But we don't want to tell it to you. And I think that will be, to the degree that I'm a species chauvinist, I am very unhappy to see the notion that AIs will be making decisions about what people are able to do.
Yeah, I started my career in 1964, and I graduated from Stanford in electrical engineering. But fortunate for me, there was a faculty member at Princeton who thought computers were going to be important, and he thought they ought to teach a computer science course. And so he hired me to do that. And I didn't know what a computer science course was because there had never been one before, and there were no books. And so I just looked at the literature and summarized some of it, and teaching that course. And after the end of the course, I took one of the students, and he and I took the notes and wrote a book. But because there were no other books, and everybody started computer science the next year, the book was used all over the world, and it made my reputation. And I guess the lesson there is when there's a time of change, there's a time of opportunity. I often tell people if I had been in physics, I would still be waiting today for the senior people ahead of me to retire.
I like that sense of humor.
Yeah, well, it gave me a lot of opportunities. Things that, when I was maybe 40, our president appointed me to our National Science Foundation, and I was confirmed by the Senate. But that kind of an opportunity just doesn't come along early in your life. But they needed a computer scientist. And
be at the right place at the right time for the right reason.
Right. Yeah, no, that's very important.
But it has to be the right person.
Well, I'm not sure of that. The right place and the right time may make the person.
You're so modest, Professor.
Well, but the one thing I do is I enjoy what I'm doing. And that's one of the messages I'd like to get to students. Don't major in computer science because it's going to give you a high-paying job. Major in what you really enjoy, because the purpose of a university education is to prepare you to have a good life. And you don't want to take a job just to earn money.
What is good life?
Well, that's a good question. You have to understand what you enjoy, and that's what you want to do. So if you like music, major in music and find a career where what you're doing you really enjoy. In fact, I talked to a number of Nobel Prize winners and Turing Award winners, and I asked them what they did that made them so successful. And they said they had no strategic plan. That what they did is if an opportunity came along and it sounded like it would be fun, they took it. Otherwise, they ignored it. And it's some of the soft skills that we've got to teach students. It's not the technical material you learn in the class that's important. It's learning how to solve problems, how to communicate, how to interact with other students.
Do you see there is a lack of a connect between education and the latest trends of science and technology?
The people who are really connected are the scientists doing it, but the vast majority of the population are not connected. They realize the world is changing, but they probably don't realize how much it's changing. My own view is we've had two previous revolutions, the agricultural and the industrial. And now we're going to have, I'll call it maybe an information revolution or something like that. And it's going to have a bigger impact than these others.
In that sequence, it seems that the latest technology advancement will be very much bring a huge change in the relationship among humans as well.
Oh, yes, yes. And we hope it's going to be a good thing. I mean, one of the things with digital communication, I don't think people interact anywhere near as much today as they did when I was growing up. Having a personal interaction, you know, it's important to get to know people and so on, and that's something we better think about. So there are lots of interesting problems, and they're not in computer and information science. They're in many other disciplines to make sure, you know, that people still interact, that things like that. And
that's very important.
Yeah, and I used to read a newspaper which, what was in it was factually correct. It may have been a little misleading in what they covered, but today, with digital communication, you're not sure that even what you're hearing is factually correct.
How do you see the future trends of science and technology?
Oh, it's going to be important because earlier, like in the agricultural revolution, you could just try something and it was simple enough. You could learn by experiment. Today, agriculture is so complex. In fact, they're using AI to measure the moisture in the ground to know whether they should water or save some water. You can't run a farm today without a significant amount of science. And I understand that global warming is creating a serious problem, that farmers have already noticed it. The ground stays wetter for longer and they can't plow it. And they have a shorter growing season for this reason, and it's affecting their economy. So they are really now, science is going to be very important to them. What crops should they switch to? Things like this. And it makes a difference as to whether you're going to be profitable or not.
You, with your age, have gone through many transformational periods in the past decades. Some were more pleasant than the others. How do you see where we are today? Do we learn from our earlier experiences?
Well, one thing that might help us is the changes are coming faster. During the Industrial Revolution, it took maybe 200 years. And so the people who were born towards the end of it didn't realize all the problems and how they had to be solved. Now, by the time you get out of high school, you've probably seen some changes, and
Indeed.
So we may learn a little bit better.
There's more urgency.
Right. Because, you know, my parents told me about the changes in their lifetime. They said there was electricity, there was automobiles, and they said there's going to be greater changes in your lifetime. And I wondered about it, but during my lifetime, we had television, we had jet aircraft, people traveled by boat if you wanted to come to China, and we got the internet, we got just enormous number of changes. And there will be even more changes in my grandchildren's time.
Sounds exciting if we can learn.
Right.
Professor, always a pleasure talking to you.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Oh, I enjoy coming here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that is all the time we have for today. If you'd like to know more, search World Insight or check out the YouTube channel. Follow us on X and Facebook. I'm Tian Wei. Thanks for being with me. Bye for now.
Shh. Listen up. Can you hear the heartbeat of our world? It's vibrant and pulsating with the essence of life itself. From the stem of trees to the gurgle of rivers, from the silent strength of mountains to the icy whispers of glaciers, even the solid ground beneath our feet. And right there, in the midst of all, beats the heart of humanity. What if those other heartbeats were to stop? Would ours keep on ticking?